Hello everyone, we have a special guest today, Dr. Roman Töppel, who is the leading expert in Germany for the Battle of Kursk. And as such, we today will tackle one question which was on my mind and probably on yours as well. Did Hitler delay the Kursk offensive, Operation Zitadelle, due to waiting for the Tiger and Panther tanks or not?
It depends. It is not the only reason. The main reason in the beginning was that he feared that the Anglo-Americans would go on landing after they succeeded in destroying the Axis bridgehead in Tunisia with landings in Italy and on the Balkans. And so he feared that these landings would occur when he started Operation Zitadelle in May 1943. So he said, no, we have to wait. I need these forces possibly against an Allied landing. So at the beginning there was no talk about waiting for the Tigers and Panthers, but when the offensive was more and more delayed, then he said, okay, it might be a good idea that we have more power, but especially when Model said to him, I will need more time to overcome these Soviet defensive lines. And he said, okay, it might be a good idea to have better tanks, and that was one reason. But the original main reason was a strategic reason.
Okay, and what were the other reasons? So they were waiting for the tanks because Model noted, I think you wrote this in your book, that Model noted, okay, we can't break through fast enough, and then he said, okay, you will get more tanks. Exactly. And so what did Model react to this?
And he was positive. He said, okay, if I get more tanks, then we can do it. He did not say we can do it, not at all. We can't do it at all. He said we have a timetable. We only have 6 days. They said we have to do it in 6 days, otherwise the Russians will pull out of the Kursk salient. And they said, but 6 days, you have 3 days for the breakthrough and 3 days to reach Kursk. And Model said, I have seen these the aerial photographs of the strong Russian defense system, and I will break through, but I will need 6 days for the breakthrough alone. But if I have more tanks and assault guns, it's not all about tanks, it's assault guns, and maybe then he was optimistic that he could do it in 3 days, within 3 days.
So the delay was more on a material side, and the Tigers and the Panthers were just one part of the material side, and not.
No, it's not all about the Tigers and Panthers. It's about the Ferdinand, it's about the normal assault gun, it's about self-propelled artillery and all this heavy artillery. It's only one of. Hitler was very in favor of the Tigers and hoped that he would be a wonder weapon, but it was not all about Tigers and Panthers.
Okay, so I think we answered this now pretty much, and hopefully this myth will fade.
Maybe if I can add something, it's always the question that even Manstein later wrote in his diary, in his private diary, that we should have attacked in May, but they couldn't have attacked in May because in May the weather conditions were not favorable for the Germans. In the area of Army Group Center. They had the mud sea. They had so much mud that the roads turned to mud, and there was no offensive possible in May. So Manstein didn't know this because it was not in his sector. So he said we should have attacked in May, but it was absolutely not possible to attack in May because the road conditions were not favorable for German offensive moves. Yeah.
I mean, also Barbarossa and Fall Blau were also usually in June, because I think this is the problem generally in Russia with Rasputitsa in the spring and in fall when everything turns into mud. Yeah.
So the delay was not so unusual. It's not only my idea. Even Andreas Hilgruber, famous German historian, wrote this already 40 or 50 years ago. He said that they delayed that offensive until summer. This is a normal proceeding. Yeah.
I think I read once in Germany at the Second World War that at one point one general staff officer wrote down April operation.
April is completely nonsense because it was never planned in April. In April they couldn't have done it because there was the mud season still on. Yeah, and even the generals, they said when Hitler said we have to attack, first he wanted to attack before it was over in Italy, in Northern Africa. It was obvious that they would lose in Northern Africa, but it was maybe we will lose in middle, or they can hold the bridgehead in Tunisia until middle of May or end of May. And he said, okay, if we need just 6 days for this offensive, maybe we can do it in the first week of May. We must. And the general said, no, we can't. We need the earliest day we can do it is 10th of May. But Hitler insisted, and he said, okay, no, the first, okay, if you absolutely insist on a delay, I give you 2 days. But we have to do it on 3rd May. And then Model comes in. And Model says, Mein Führer, it will not work. I can't break through in 6 days to Kursk. I need, according to these plans, these aerial photographs, the Russian defenses are 20 kilometers deep. And I will need 6 days for the breakthrough alone. And then says Hitler, okay, then it's not possible. Then it will collide with the Allied landing, or he feared that an Allied landing. And so he said, okay, then we have to delay it further. And then it's good. We will have more tanks, more artillery, more assault guns, and everything is perfect. But almost all the generals were not in favor of this delay. Model was happy, but Manstein and Zeitzler, they were all, no, we can't do this. Yeah.
Okay, this also explains why in the memoirs and quite often some people know, okay, I think Nering was also like, we shouldn't have delayed it, exactly. but the decision was not solely about the tanks, and there were arguments before and against them. So it's like more Hitler looked at the geostrategic situation, and the others more on the operational side.
Exactly. It's often the case that Hitler thought in the big scheme, and even when he said we can't lose the Donetsk basin, Manstein always argued for the backhand blow, and he said we should pull out our troops of the Donetsk basin. Hitler said, I need this Donetsk basin for the coal and everything, and all the efforts they had put in. That's what nobody notices. They had put enormous efforts in. They brought laborers from the Ruhr area to the Donetsk basin to get it going again, and then Manstein said we should pull our troops out, for a backhand blow. So Hitler was always, he looked at the grand scheme, strategic, economic reasons, and Manstein and the generals, they were had just their operations in mind. And even Manstein says this in his diary, private war diary, with a little angry. Always when I start talking about operations, he starts talking about economy or the grand scheme of strategy. So we are never on the same level.
That's very interesting. I mean, I read that like after the First World War, that for instance the United States and I think also Britain, they focused more on the general staff education on these economic aspects, whereas Germany was still operations, tactics. And everything around this. Or I think they call it tactics and we call it now operations. But it was basically a complete disfocus. I think I have this also. I have made one video about this.
It's even, you see it in the vocabulary. The Germans, they say, Manstein was a great strategist. He was ein großer Stratege. But this is what the Americans call a strategy, or what the modern military history, this is what they meant, this is operations. This is how to win a battle, how to win a campaign. But the grand strategy is something else. And so Manstein was not a great strategist, he was a great operator, or what is the English word? Operations. He could do this. But
operational art,
operational art. Operational artist. I think we have it now. There's 2 German native speakers here speaking to you because we want to reach a broader audience. But another thing that you said, it's an interesting thing that almost every general after the war said let's blame it all on Hitler. It was Hitler's fault. He was the only one in favor of the delay. No, it's not true. It was Model who said, okay, mein Führer, if I have more tanks, if I have more time, then we will do it. We can do it. And that's one of my favorite subjects at the moment. When I'm working on different battles, and I always find out that it's not like they said after the war in the memoirs. They always said, it's Hitler's idea alone. What I have found out about all the battles that I have looked at is Hitler never made a decision when he not at least had one general who said, okay, mein Führer, we can do this. When everyone was against it, he dropped it. He said, okay, then we can't do this. But when he found only one general who said, everyone was against, like the sickle cut movement. Everyone was against. It's not possible. We can't go through the Ardennes. And Manstein comes and says, "Mein Führer, it works." And so Hitler says, "Okay, let's go for it."
I think we will continue this in another video because it's an excellent topic we should also cover. So thank you very much. And also
pleasure.
Thank you for watching and see you next time.